Pony up, kids. It's snippet time. Welcome back to Sober Living Snippets, where we live alcohol-free so we can repair our relationships, feel youthful again, and ditch regret and shame. I'm Becca Jacobson, and I'm bringing you a snippet. It's snippet time, kids. Welcome to the new listeners. Welcome back to the repeat offenders. Today, I am going to... Oh my goodness. You know what happened? I think most of you know, those of you who know me know that I recently retired after 20 years as an English professor. And seriously, this is recent. So this is my first school year that I haven't gone back after Labor Day to teach. And I got to tell you, it's just mid or early October. So school's been back a month. And I'm kind of jonesing to teach some poetry. Yeah, like 20 years I've been doing that. So there's the addict in me coming out, right? So today I am going to give you a line from a poem by William Blake, and we're going to talk about it because it is so relevant to us as alcoholics, as addicts, as people in recovery, as people, more importantly than all of that, people who are determined to break free and live amazing, amazing lives, regardless of our age or what we've been through or what we've done. That's who we are. That's who the snippet lovers are. And so William Blake was an amazing romantic poet from the 19th century, and he wrote many, many poems, one of them called London. And today I'm going to share with you a metaphor that he uses in a poem called London, and we're going to talk about it. So the metaphor is very simple. It is mind-forged manacles. Now, my longtime listeners will recognize this because I've talked about this before, but I wanted to bring it back. Mind-forged manacles. That's the metaphor. What does this mean? Okay, so first of all, mind. We all know what our mind is. Forged means to create something. A forge is a place where the blacksmith would create horseshoes or, heat up metal and create a horseshoe, or forging metal, where we heat it up to turn it into something that when that something is cooled off, it'll be hard and solid, like a horseshoe, right? Or a handcuff, or, whatever is made out of metal. Back in the day, these were created in a forge where the metal was heated up, as I say, and then it could be molded into a particular shape. And then once it was cooled down, it was solid. So mind forged. What Blake is saying here is that our mind is the forge. It's the place where we create these manacles. What's a manacle? A manacle is like a handcuff. So Blake is saying that we have forged in our minds, we use our minds to create these handcuffs that we then live with. And what are these handcuffs? These are limiting beliefs. These are ideas about ourselves. These are limitations that we put on ourselves. We believe that we can't do this, or we can't do that, or we can't do this. And once we believe that, these ideas, these limiting beliefs are so solid, so ingrained, they're forged within us. They've been melded into something so solid by our own minds that we're trapped, we're handcuffed. We are bound by these manacles that we have forged in our own minds. This is an incredibly powerful metaphor. And, human nature, it just doesn't change. It doesn't matter if he wrote this 200 years ago. We're still doing it to ourselves. It's what humans do. We forge our own limiting beliefs in our minds. We take an idea, we put it in our mind, we stir it up, and then it gets solid, and there it lives in our mind, in our psyche, in our hearts, in our souls, and we live our lives with these solid beliefs that are meaningless, that are wrong, that are simply not true. And we allow our lives to be created around these mind-forged manacles, these handcuffs that we've created in our own minds. Isn't that powerful? So my question to you is, what beliefs do you have that are so solid that you barely even recognize them? They're like a part of you. They're ingrained. They're in there. They're such a part of us that many of us have a hard time even figuring out what these limiting beliefs are. But they're there, and they create around us limitations that don't even exist. And of course, the most obvious one for those of us who have a hard time with alcohol is the idea that we can't stop drinking. Sure, the past might look like we can't stop drinking, but it is not true. And I talked about this last week, can't or won't, right? Won't stop drinking or can't stop drinking? The answer is won't. And we believe we can't because we've forged in our own minds an idea that has turned into solid steel. We got to put that idea back into our minds and melt it so that it can be made into something else, so that it's no longer solid. And we're going to use our minds to reshape those ideas. What else? Not just alcohol, but what else do we believe that isn't true about ourselves? We believe we're very anxious and nervous around people, and if we don't have a drink, we'll just die of anxiety. We believe that. We believe that we have all these limitations around us. We believe that we're not capable of this or not capable of that. Of course, these limiting beliefs vary between people, but we've all got them. And I want you to know that you can do anything. Anything. You just don't believe it because you've forged these handcuffs in your own mind and you've decided to hold on to them. Now, don't get me wrong, these are comfortable. When we have limitations, we don't have to expect much of ourselves, right? We can go, well, that's the way I am, and so don't expect me to do this or don't expect me to do that because after all, I'm very nervous or I have anxiety or I have this or no. Asking people to get rid of their limiting beliefs, it's amazing how difficult it is because they're comfortable and they allow us to limit ourselves. We don't have to get up and off our butts and do something different that might be uncomfortable for us. Look, yeah, I'm being a bit harsh, but that's what we get around here, the truth, right? We need to be able to face the truth and say to ourselves, wait a minute, am I willing to let my life be way less than it could be because of a limiting belief or because I'm comfortable or because I don't have the courage to do something different? If you are, then go ahead. Go ahead. Nobody's stopping you, but I'm assuming just because you're hearing my voice that you're not happy with that. Generally speaking, someone who's comfortable with their own limiting beliefs and with self-imposed limitations isn't going to bother listening to the snippets because I'm always nagging you to get up and do something more with your life. And that would probably just get on your nerves after a while. So I always assume that my listeners are interested in growing. So there it is, kids. William Blake's Mind-Forged Manacles. Look it up. It's an amazing metaphor. And your due for today is to Google William Blake's poem, London, and read it. It's very short, and you'll see how he incorporates this metaphor in the rest of the poem. And you'll see how interesting it is that human nature hasn't changed in over 200 years. And you'll get to see the whole poem. Reading William Blake is always an eye-opener. And not only that, but he was an artist. So while you're there, when you do your Google search, go to images and you'll see some of the amazing etchings that he did. So there it is. Do your due. Look up William Blake for fun. A little bit of poetry in your life certainly can't hurt. And while you're at it, think about your own limiting beliefs and come on back tomorrow for another kick in the rear so we can live happy, sober lives. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back tomorrow so we can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.